Morning, all. All right, so we're going to start today talking about something that back in 1989 I remember talking about. The infamous Joel Otto goal against the Vancouver Canucks in overtime, Game 7, and the belief for Canuck fans, including myself, that that puck was kicked in. Now, I look at it now and I say, you know what? I might have been overreacting at the time for 30 years, sure. But, and that there is some validity to that, right? When you have that emotional stake, when it's your favorite team that you're seeing lose, there may be some rose-colored glasses for your own team, which is normal. It's normal to have that for a team you're cheering for, right? So when looking at the goal from last night, which is all anybody's talking about, that's why I'm starting with this rather than starting with the normal. The normal would be a preview video, and then maybe I'd look at a team that's season's done, which today would be Calgary. So I'm gonna go ahead and push that down a little bit. I'm not gonna do the Calgary video today. Feels like it's still a little bit fresh. But the Coleman goal is very fresh. And right now on social media, there's still this big debate going on. So for me, I understand why the debate's there. I understand the confusion. I thought it was going to be a good goal, but the NHL's been pretty consistent with this. So the Coleman goal is the most recent example. But to start the season, we had Chandler Stevenson with a controversial goal against the Seattle Kraken, where puck goes in the net, and immediately the announcers are like, well, yeah, that's coming back. And that's the thing, too, is that sometimes the announcers will change your expectation. So the puck goes in the net, and to me, in real time, I'm watching it, I was like, yeah, that looks like a kick. It's off the outside of the skate, though. And the NHL's been pretty consistent with, if it's off the inside of the skate, it likely won't count. If it's off the outside of the skate, it likely will. So they'll say it's directed in with the Stevenson goal, again, to start the season, and the Coleman one is kicked in. And this is where it gets down to opinion. This is where it gets down to that freeze frame, which and the thing for me is when you're doing all that freeze frame and when you're trying to figure out what the intent was, that's where I think things get kind of tricky. What was the intent on the play? So for Coleman, was he intending to kick it in? Some will say yes. Some will say no. He's trying to stop there. I kind of agree with BX that if you're trying to stop, he's in a weird position with his skates for somebody who's trying to stop. But he sees the puck right there, and he's probably trying to ensure it gets into the net, and then it ends up going off his skate and in. But his skate doesn't leave the ice surface, which is considered to be part of the thing they're looking for too. Do you bring your skate up off the ice, as one would do if you're doing a follow through on a kick, right? And the argument as well that people have thrown out there is that puck would have gone in if he hadn't kicked it. Yes, absolutely. And I can't dispute that. But for the NHL, that's not part of the rule. The rule isn't, well, it's a kick, but the puck was going to go in anyways, because then there's a whole other swath of arguments that can be made with that. And then there will be fans who state, hey, if that goal had counted, the Oilers would have challenged for goalie interference, which goalie interference is a whole other argument for a whole other day. And I don't know if that goal could have got overturned by goalie interference. I don't think so, because by the time he touches the goalie, the puck's already gone through. But anyways, so what we're looking at here is Rule 49.2, which states at the start of it, there's other wording in it as well, but this is the important part for this video. A goal cannot be scored by an attacking player who uses a distinct kicking motion to propel the puck into the net. So there are 3 words in here I hate. Distinct kicking motion. You see a distinct kicking motion. Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. Maybe you don't. Maybe the league does. Maybe we don't. Maybe the league doesn't. And we do. And this distinct kicking motion it's been an issue for a long time. And I think that they need to take the ambiguous nature of rules and find a way to fix it. Goalie interference is another one. There is some ambiguity. And there are people who do their best to look at all the rules, look at how everything's called. It's part of the reason I watch as many games as I do, as I like to get a feeling for what trends are going on. At some points in the season, we've seen a lot of penalties being called. And I'm like, okay, they're cracking down on cross-checking this week, because I'll watch 5 or 6 games in a night, and there's cross-checking penalties all over the place. And then maybe 2 weeks later, we're not seeing them. So either the players have adjusted, or the league's letting stuff go. So this distinct kicking motion is really, really tough to me to pin down. Because with Coleman, if you watch that at full speed, I don't know how. And again, I understand Kevin BX and Jen Botterill last night on Sportsnet both said that's a kick, can't be a goal. They both played the game, so they know better than I. They know better than most of us who are discussing this right now, whether or not there was intent there for Coleman, and whether or not they believe there's intent for Coleman. And so there's some weight to that, right? There's some weight to the idea that they believe this. But there are others in the hockey community, former players, who are saying, nah, that should be a goal. And I'm going to go ahead and agree that if the Stevenson one counts, the Coleman one probably should too, but the NHL doesn't want to change that ruling to make it so that everything's allowed for safety reasons. You have to be concerned about the safety of goaltenders and anybody in and around the crease. If you decide we don't care if it's kicked in, it's going to count. Because you're going to have a lot of guys kicking at pucks, and the chances of a goaltender or a defender in the crease or even another player on their team getting hurt goes through the roof. So we can't have a situation where any kind of a kick counts as a goal. But I again, the Coleman one last night is so close. But having had a night's sleep thinking about it, I will say that Coleman's words himself probably don't help the case. He says, my understanding is you can direct the puck in, but you can't kick it. So he's basically saying, I'm not, maybe I don't understand the rule. Okay. And there are others who may not understand the rule either. But that also tells me that he's aware, goes in off his skate, and it sounds like he's saying, I was directing it in, thinking that it would count. I didn't think I kicked it. Which is not the same as not I didn't kick. I don't know what they're talking about. And again, it's minor semantics. And when there's interviews, quotes from interviews can be kind of dicey because sometimes there's other words before and after that may give some more context. But it's definitely an issue that has affected this league for a long time. Again, one of my earliest memories of being mad in the playoffs is Joel Otto in 1989. So it sticks with you. And then my friend Dave, who lived in Edmonton, was nice enough to send me, I think, 25 Joel Otto cards. I think it was 25. Dave, if you watch this, thanks. But yeah, it was just great, because he knew I was mad and we were pen pals, and so he sends me 25 Joel Otto hockey cards. I kept them because they're hockey cards, but still. Anyway, but yeah, it is an interesting rule in that it does feel kind of ambiguous. They're not going to change it so that those goals count. But I could see there being an amendment to the rule in the offseason, because we've seen this before, right? Remember the hand pass? Remember the too many men on the ice call? Remember the 5-minute major against Vegas? There are things that happen during the playoffs that cause rule changes, that cause clarifications of rules as well. And I think we may be at another point where the NHL looks and says, you know what, we've got to clean this up and make it so it's more clear. And again, I don't think that they'll make it where Coleman's counts, but things could end up changing where maybe Stevenson's doesn't. And I think as soon as they said, well, yeah, you can direct it in off your skate, you just can't kick it, Pandora's box opened there, as to the idea that it then becomes interpretation. And that freeze frame forward. Okay, is the skate coming back? Okay, there's a kick there. It just, anyways, I know this isn't going to make anybody's mind change on the topic, but it is something that the NHL, it feels like, is going to have to address one way or the other. And again, we're not going to see the safety of players in the crease being compromised by allowing any kind of a kick goal to go in and count. But maybe there'll be some kind of a change where that interpretive gray area is gone. I don't like rules with gray areas in general. One thing that I don't like is when you're trying to rule intent, because I don't know somebody else's mind. I don't know what they're actually thinking when something happens. And so when you're trying to argue, well, he intended to do this, we really don't. And you can't ask the player. if you ask somebody, so do you intend to hit him in the face with your stick? Oh, no. But it shows you're winding up and you're really, no, I had an itch right here and I couldn't get it. And then I tried to get it on the other side and his face was right in between. So I had an itch. The itch is gone though. Thanks. All right, I'll go shower. So we obviously, to me, intent is an odd thing to argue, but I think the NHL is going to have to change it. I do, because again, we've seen these controversies, the Carlson hand pass, and there was, well, they can't review that, and well, there's nothing they can do, and then they reviewed it. Puck goes off the mesh. Well, they can't review that because it's puck off the mesh. Now they can review that. So I wouldn't rule out the idea that a change of what does or doesn't count as a distinct kicking motion is in there, but I'd like to see distinct kicking motion gone because to me it's kind of arguing intent as well. But I'd be interested to know your thoughts. How would you go about fixing the goal, no goal controversies that we see? And this isn't the last time this is going to crop up. This could crop up tonight. This could crop up a week from now. It could crop up in the Stanley Cup final. It could happen a million times next season. Like it is something that definitely I think they need to address. And just again, it's the what constitutes a distinct kicking motion where I think a lot of people get tripped up. And I think that's why there's so much disagreement. Because again, I might see it, you might not, and we might not be able to agree. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.